All right, welcome back. So, stock market. A lot of people are hoping it's going to stabilize today. We had two volatile sessions on Wall Street. Concerns over tariffs as well as recession fueling the slides.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions, right? And a lot of people are talking about this. Brooke DiPalma is with Yahoo Finance, and she's now here to help us manage their money during these really uncertain times. And that is what we're seeing kind of play out, Brooke. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
I think a lot of people have the big question of how will tariffs affect their everyday expenses, right? We hear a lot about Wall Street and the stock market, but everyone's like, well, how is it going to affect me at home and my refrigerator, so on and so forth?
Right. Well, that certainly is day-to-day expenses of what Americans are focusing on right now. And think about where exactly inventory goes the fastest. And so Target CEO hinted last week that we can see higher prices at the grocery store in the coming days. And so essentially this week is where we're going to see those higher prices that quickly, essentially, because when you think about how fast food inventory goes, I mean, they're not taking a huge supply and keeping it in stores. So food prices, keep a lookout. You might see some commodities, some fruits and vegetables see higher prices. But then following that, think about Best Buy. They keep about 6 weeks worth of supply. So technology will be hit following that. Then think longer picture, furniture could see higher prices, and then apparel once that inventory turns over as well.
You know, so Americans have already been hit with so much inflation. We're talking about like the 9%, the big hit that we took in the summer of 22, and then we've seen incrementally that it was able to come down, and of course we've been hoping that it would come down even more. How does this play out? Some of the analysis that I heard is that we're going to sort of be splitting the cost of these big tariffs. Maybe the manufacturers will absorb some of it and then we'll get some of it, or is this just a big, we don't know yet?
Right. Well, retailer CEOs, think Best Buy, think Walmart, think Target, think Abercrombie, think all these retailers and retail giants, big box retailers. They're saying, hey, vendors that we work with, suppliers that we work with, is there any way that we can split the cost here? Can we work with you in order to lower the cost?
Can we split the difference?
Exactly, because we ultimately don't want to pass along that higher price to consumers. We know that consumers are stretched. We know that they've been paying higher prices. And so ultimately, how can we get those prices to come down and really essentially work together to make those prices lower for Americans? You
know, there's that fear of the R word, too, the recession that's kind of been floated around as well. So when you look at it in its totality and you're talking about some of these price of goods, right? Is there a demographic of people that really it affects the most?
Yeah. Well, let's be clear. We're not in a recession yet. And so that fear can put it aside. And right now, focus on what exactly you can do. But when you think about the income cohort that will be hit the most, it's the one that's been getting hit. And that's this low income consumer that's really been strained. And we actually heard from Kohl's CEO yesterday morning. He told investors that this demographic of 50,000 or below are really constrained here. And they're not spending on those discretionary items. Think about 100,000 or less. Those are also up against challenges when you think about those higher rent prices, higher grocery prices. And so we'll continue to see that income cohort essentially continue to remain stretched.
Because we know that the salaries are definitely not keeping pace with inflation on all of this. And then, of course, there are the older Americans, people who are already pulling down from 401ks or pensions, or people like us who are contributing to it. You know, a lot of times we say we're just supposed to look at this for the long term. What are some real strategies that we can do to manage our 401ks and pensions better and to deal with it if you're already drawing down from it?
Right. Well, essentially, think long term. So if you're in that position where you're not pulling from it yet, I know, try not to look right now. Just close your eyes and look the other way. But continue to invest in it. Know that it is working. And eventually, when you do pull out, hopefully the market, as it always does, continues to go up. And so despite this volatility, continue to invest in it. And if you're already pulling, think about what you can do. And that's perhaps work with a financial advisor. Reach out and say, what can I do to create a personal plan for myself in this moment of volatility, especially if I'm already pulling out. I want to make sure that money keeps working for me. And third, make sure you have an emergency savings here. We often don't think, we're also focusing on those essential goods, that we want to make sure that we have that fund on the side that we can pull from.
But you're also talking, I hear you, but you're also talking about people who are living paycheck to paycheck, day to day, right? So it's hard to get that financial advisor. It's hard to pull from a savings fund when you're living paycheck to paycheck, right? So what's the reality for folks like that in terms of if tariffs go away? Right? Say, because we've seen kind of back and forth with the tariffs or the threats there, and then they go away. Prices have not dropped before the tariffs came. I mean, to the point where people could be living comfortably again. If they go away, are we going to see prices drop, or is this kind of the new normal?
Right. That's a great question. And experts that I've spoken with have said that this is making it extremely difficult for retailers and big box retailers to essentially plan. And so ultimately, it's creating this volatility within the supply chain, unfortunately, already.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, we'll see these fluctuations in prices happen in the near term. Now, the big promise here is that eventually prices will go down. We know that the Justice Department is looking into egg prices. We know that they're currently working with the USDA in order to understand how essentially we can lower egg prices. And so ultimately there are things happening in the background, but in the near term we'll likely continue to see higher prices.
There's this fear, right, that like people are just going to get used to paying the price, and then the retailers are going to say, well, that's where we're at. Kind of like what happened during COVID with some of the
want to cut it back.
Right, exactly. Some of the restaurant prices, we saw them all kind of go up to levy out the fact that there weren't a lot of people going to restaurants, and then they stayed the same. They didn't drop back down.
Yeah, they stayed high. And also, when you think about what Target and Walmart did last year. They tout that they cut prices on thousands and thousands of items. And so essentially it remains to be seen, okay, will they hike up prices but ultimately try to keep them low? Is there areas where they can keep them low? They're making all these promises that they want to keep these prices low. And so really, like I said before, if they're working with these vendors to do that, well, then how much can they bring them down while also maintaining that margin?
We'll see if they can strong arm them into it and to keep all of us able to afford the necessities and maybe even a few of those extra discretionary items. Brooke DiPalma with Yahoo Finance. Thanks so much for all the insights.